Welcome everyone to the DimitrovBoelee piano duo and our video for today. My name is Dimitrov.
And my name is Boelee.
As you saw from the topic of our video, today we're going to talk about the famous Impromptu by Schubert, number 1, opus 90. We've chosen to talk about a section that recently one of our students had problem with, and the section starts in bar 124. Since the piece is very large, there are many bar numbers, and this section starts in bar 124 and it ends in bar 134. This is the section we're talking about. Our student had a problem with this section with the coordination between the right and the left hand, so things just didn't go smoothly. So we've looked for a few solutions to share with you today. One of the reasons this particular section is challenging is because the right hand has uncomfortable passages. Like as you can see from bar 125, the right hand has constant 16th notes. And the notes are changing constantly. It's not one and the same, but it's constantly changing, which makes it extra uncomfortable.
Now, if you practice the right hand separately, you have 100% of attention on it. But as soon as you put your hands together, your right hand might take up so much of your concentration that you have none left of your left hand, making it very difficult to play coordinated. The second reason what would influence your coordination in this passage is that the left hand is actually syncopated. Instead of coming on a logical place, what we all feel logical on the first and the third beat, it actually comes in between the strong beats as a syncopation.
If you look at bar 125, you can see that the left hand doesn't come on the first beat, on the downbeat, but exactly the opposite. It comes on the upbeat, which makes it quite more difficult, like this. And obviously for some people that's extremely challenging. Another reason that makes this section rough is because the tempo is not really slow. As you can see, if you take it from a little bit from before, like 124, we have this. And as you can hear, the tempo is not slow at all. Plus, the left hand is not only syncopated, but also the fingering of the left hand. If you look at bar 125, you can see we have 5, 2, 5, 1, 5, 5, 1, 3, 2, 1. As you can see, the fingering is changing constantly. That's also challenging.
So we have a challenging right hand with constantly changing 16th notes. We have a syncopated left hand that's not on the downbeat, but actually on the upbeat. Then we have a constantly changing fingering in the left hand as well as a quite fast tempo. Lastly, what makes it even more challenging, the left hand is not legato, but it is staccato, it is short. And that causes you, or it can cause you, to lose your way and not to connect the line in the left hand.
By playing short, the left hand, even though you may be using the pedal, it doesn't matter. Once you start playing short, the left hand, you can lose your way very easily. And so let's look at a few of the ways you can use, a few of the exercises you can use to improve this particular section. My first tip for today would be to learn the right hand really well. You need, of course, to know both hands, but start with the right because you have a lot of notes to learn. Learn them first, apply the proper fingering, and be very confident with it. Once you feel comfortable and confident with the right hand and you can move easily and smoothly through the right hand, it's time to check the next thing you have to do, the left hand. Once you move on to the left hand, it's very important, of course, to learn it properly, but what's even more important is that you learn the right fingering. That's very important. In the score, they provided you with a very good fingering, the editors, and I strongly recommend you use them. Wherever in this section you see a note which doesn't have a fingering written by the editors, feel free to write your own fingering. Just take a pencil, write it down, because it will be much easier after that when you're playing.
As soon as you're confident you have the right notes and you're confident that you remember the fingering and you apply it well, it's time to practice the left hand, to practice the syncopation. And I would advise that you do this with metronome. I put the metronome on 45, and the goal is to play not on the beat of the metronome, but to play exactly in between it.
Like this. etc.
Whenever you're comfortable in the tempo that you chose, try speeding it up a bit, because the eventual tempo, as we've said, is pretty fast.
What's very important here when you are exercising like this with the metronome on the upbeat is to not lift your left hand too high, right? We're playing short notes, but that doesn't mean lift very high, because it's very important that you don't lose your way while you're playing. It's very important that you're close to the notes so you can find them easily. That's one of the tricks actually, to be able later on to play this passage easily. The higher you lift your hand, the more inefficient your technique is, and the more inefficient you'll be later on.
And to help you out with that, you can also do the same exercise, but don't make your left hand staccato. Play it legato instead, so you can really feel that connection, so you can feel connected to the keyboard, as well as connecting the line of the left hand. So let's try now the same exercise, legato. We're again putting the metronome on tempo 45.
As you can see from the camera above me, I'm using exactly the fingering that's written in the score. That's very important. You should never use random fingering. Don't play once with one fingering and the second time with another fingering. Then you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Exercise always with the same fingering and play legato. Playing the left hand legato will definitely ensure that you have more security and more confidence while you're playing after that, both hands together. Once you feel more confident and comfortable with right and left hands separate, it's time, of course, to put them together. My recommendation would be, once you decide to put right and left hand together, is to keep on playing the left hand legato like this. I will start directly in bar 125 because, of course, that's the place where it's really more challenging. So what you are going to do is this. Look at my left hand. Etc. Now, of course, the tempo I'm playing doesn't mean that you have to do the same one. You can definitely play much slower if you want. You can select any tempo you're comfortable with. The most important to see from this exercise, what I'm showing you, is to just keep on playing the left hand legato. Because once you put the hands together and you try immediately to play the left hand short, you will run into much more trouble much sooner. Build your way very gradually. That will ensure comfort. If I want to ensure that I'm maintaining one and the same tempo and I'm not varying between the tempi, what I would do is I would just put the metronome. This is a metronome marking 40, and I would just keep playing with the metronome. Left hand again, legato. Once you put the metronome, you'll be able to relax and feel more comfortable in focusing just on the right and left hand, how you approach them. Right hand with a good legato and good fingering, and left hand also nice legato and proper fingering.
Of course, our final goal is to put the hands together and play the left hand staccato as is indicated. But by first exercising it legato, you will also help along the muscle memory and in remembering the correct fingering and the correct notes for your left hand. Finally, it's time for the last step. We're going to put our hands together, but we're going to play the correct articulation this time for your left hand, which is staccato. And remember, we don't want to jump very high with our staccato. We want to keep close to the keyboard to keep our connection. Now, I have one final little tip for this last step when we're putting our both hands together with the correct articulation. It might help you to add a little visual aid by making a little line, by drawing a vertical line connecting the notes of the right hand that come together with the left hand. What I mean by this, I'll show you. In bar 125, the left hand comes together with the third 16th note in the right hand. Now draw a line connecting these two.
By having a visual indication, you can feel much more comfortable while you're playing, because you don't need to think that hard where exactly I need to play. One of our students had exactly this problem. They started getting confused. Where does the left hand come? And even though it might seem logical, some people actually have problem with this. So I think a visual indication can always be very useful. It's the same thing as to play with a metronome. Once the metronome is there, you settle much more. You feel much more relaxed because you don't need to keep a tempo yourself, right? So the same is with the visual indication. Once you write fingering on the score, you feel more comfortable. Once you write, for example, a line where two notes come together, it's the same kind of comfort. So remember to always help yourself with whatever comes handy. Because I'm not sure how good you can see from the upper camera the line Elvira drew between the two notes, right? Where the two notes connect and come together, I will just indicate in the score we've uploaded for you. With every video we upload, we also make sure that there is a link to the score we're using, so you can follow along with us easier. The link to that score will be in the description box below. We hope that this video was useful for you, and if you have any more questions about this piece or any other piece, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be happy to create more content for you. Don't forget that we have courses on Skillshare and Udemy. You can check them out, as well as our Instagram page. Go and visit us there.
The link to our Udemy course will provide you with a nice discount, and the link to our Skillshare course will provide you with 2 months of premium membership in which you can watch our courses and all the other courses on Skillshare for 2 months for free.
Like our video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button if you want to be informed when we upload a new video, and that will be every Sunday. For us it was a pleasure, and we'll see you next time.